Hey guys, this is Hayes with CheatSheetPros.com. Today we're going to do a tutorial on the Pointwise betting sheets. So let's go ahead and get started. So Pointwise is a company that has been around for several years, and they release weekly betting sheets. They also have some phone services and some other fun information. But I use these a lot in college football and NFL football because of the game logs and all the statistics that they put right next to each other. And I noticed at the end of football season that they started posting some basketball. And honestly, I'd never even looked at it for basketball because so much changes so quick. But a lot of people were really high on them and used them and enjoyed them. So I went ahead and said, hey, well, let's go ahead and just keep it going through basketball season. So I wanted to do a tutorial and kind of show you what I use these sheets for, kind of how I look at them, and where they came from. So Pointwise is a company that's been around forever. 25 years ago when I was a kid and I was living with my aunt and uncle, my uncle was a big sports betting fanatic and he would always have these sheets sitting around. So I started looking at them and I was blown away. I mean, they had all this information and that kind of triggered me to get into the sports betting world. And then 25 years later, here I am. I still refer back to them and take a look at them. So for basketball, I'm going to go ahead and run through these and show you what it looks like. So it comes out on Tuesday once a week, and it is a PDF document. And so it does college and NBA basketball right now. The first thing you're going to see, these are the key releases. Their favorite plays are number ones, and then they go all the way down to number fives. I don't really spend a lot of time on these because you have to understand they're projecting these a week ahead of time. So a lot can change during that time, so take it with a grain of salt. And then you can go through each individual day. So like Friday, February 11th, it has every game with a projected score based off their models and then their best bets down here. So I look at these as some extra reassurance, but I don't look at it every day. I spend a lot of time on my models and my sheets, and that triggers some games for me to look at. And if you've seen any of my videos picking college or NBA games, you kind of know my process. I look at the sheet first, it points out some plays, and then I red flag them, and then I go look at game logs, and I dig in and investigate those plays. If I really like the game, I'll click over to Pointwise, open up the folder, and kind of say, hey, what did they spit out on this game? Do they agree? Do they disagree? If they disagree, I don't really care because I'm confident in the research that I've done on the game, and I know they had some computer model spit this out a week ago. But where I find a lot of advantages of if I like a total, let's say a game's over 140, and everything I have is showing it going over, and I go look on these sheets and it shows 165, I'm like, hey, that's just extra reassurance for me. So we'll look at a couple games here in a minute. But going down, we also have some NBA, same thing. They do daily game scores. This is where we're going to spend the majority of our time. This is the bread and butter right here. It's going to take some time, so I'm going to come back to that. It's got some other stuff over here like conference trends. This is really good information here. If you don't want to be in front of a computer, you can always print this off. I've got this blown up to 175%, so hopefully you can see it. I'm going to blow it up a little more, but it's got every college and every NBA team, and it will show you what their record is. It will show you all of the games they've played, what the closing spread was, if they won or lost, so you can get an idea of, have they played this team before? How are they on the road? How are they at home? How are they when they're a double-digit favorite or a double-digit dog? Are they covering quite a bit of games like we see here? Have they lost 2 straight? So it gives you a good idea, and you can scroll through. It's got every single team, so this is fun to sit here, and I could spend hours just looking at this thing. But especially for college football, when there's so many games, this is real easy to flip through and kind of get an idea of 2 teams that match up together. And you can do the same thing for college basketball. In my videos, I pull them up on ESPN and I show them to you just because it's easier to see. You have some logos, a white background. It's kind of hard if I'm pointing out little text like this saying, hey, look back here on December 14th when they played Northern Alabama. It's not as pretty. But anyways, this is our bread and butter. So if you're a basic sports bettor, I would say, just come here, kind of look at this, get an idea. It might show you some games that you like if you see a large discrepancy between the Vegas spread and what they have. For example, say yesterday was the 14th of February, and there was only one top 25 game on ESPN, and it was Kansas and they beat Oklahoma State 76-62. And then over here, they had Kansas 79-61. So they were pretty close on that one. I think the spread was 10 or 11. So they had Kansas covering at home. Oklahoma State is not very good on the road. They were upside down ATS. I remember looking at this game yesterday. And then Kansas at home does much better. But then you can see like Rhode Island and Dayton. They had Rhode Island up here, and they had Rhode Island as a best bet. I actually liked Dayton a lot yesterday. They really popped on my sheet, and I had them as an advantage. But one thing I noticed is Rhode Island was really good at home, and they are playing at home. So the last time, don't quote me, but I think the last time they played, it was like a 3-point game. So I went ahead and just said, hey, I'm going to stay away from it if there's too much back and forth information. Now, Dayton ended up winning that game and covering the spread. I think it was 1.5 yesterday or 2, but it was a back and forth game. Either team could have won. So I would just look at this and say, hey, they're saying it's going to be a close game, close to the spread. There's not a big edge there, so I'm probably going to stay away from it. And then you can flip down here and this was another game that I like. So this spread I think is between 11 and 13. And so I like Davidson for a first half play. I'm not even going to try to pronounce the other team, but they're awful. And they covered the first half. I did not bet it, though. I went pretty light yesterday. But they end up just laying down in the second half, and then they did not cover the full game line. So I would look at this and say, hey, if this spread is 11, 12, 13, they've got them winning by 13, I'm probably going to go the first half and attack it that way, and then come back with a second half hammer if by somehow it's some chance it's tied or whatever. And I talk about that quite a bit. So the main thing, so that's if you're a basic sports bettor. Now, if you're more advanced and you want to get into the nitty gritty and really look at some games, this is what you want to look at. So to come up with a line, it's really simple. So everywhere you go, whether you go to team rankings or you go to KenPom or you go to ESPN, or there's several of them out there, but everybody has their own power rankings for a team, and we can see that here under PR. So every team has a power ranking, while Pointwise has their own power rankings, and to come up with a line or a spread is just the difference between the two power rankings of the two teams and then the home field advantage. So for example, the game we looked at up here with, I'm just going to say the D's, so Davidson and whoever the DUQ team is, we're going to take a look at that one. So just got done drinking some pop. So when we come down here and we look at them, so they were I think they were at home, were they, or was it, yeah, I think Davidson was on the road. Let me go back, okay, it was at Davidson. The Capital team is the home team, so we'll say this line was 13, it was somewhere around there, and then they had them winning by 13. So I want to come down here, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at Davidson. So we're going to find Davidson, which is here, and here I can blow this up a little bit more for you. So we have Davidson, and their power ranking is 46, and since they're at home, their home field advantage is plus 5 points. That's what Pointwise is saying, or that's what they use. So they would get a power ranking playing at home of 51. So we give Davidson a 51, and then you come over here to the other team, and they are a 33. So then you would do 51 minus 33, which is 18. So a Pointwise line would be Davidson minus 18. They were favored 13 by Vegas, so you could say, hey, Pointwise likes Davidson in this matchup. They have a difference of 5. Now, I do the similar thing with my models. This is just a different tool if you really want to dig into a game and look at it. Now, some of these other stats over here, now this is the power ranking and the home court advantage. If it's a neutral court, you just do the difference of the power rankings. It's pretty simple. And then you also have the win-loss record. You have the, let me scroll out and make sure I'm telling you this correctly. And then the, so the MRT is the most recent tendency versus the spread. So over here, so this is the most recent tendency ATS. So versus the spread. HD is the spread ATS at home or as an underdog or pick. And then VF is basically the road as a favorite or a pick. VD, that's road dog. And there should be one more in there. So we have as a home favorite, home dog, road favorite, road dog, kind of how they do if you want to dig into the spread and get more advanced. I don't really look at this stuff too much. I've got a lot of the stuff in my sheet against the spread, home, road. That's what I focus on. I don't care if they're a home dog or home fave. There's not enough games to really change it for me. But I do look at the power ranking in the home court to determine what their line would be. And then this most recent tendency is key. For example, Alabama, they're 2-14 against the spread the last 16 games. So 2-14 ATS. That should be a red flag right there. Now you come down here to Appalachian State, they're 7-0 against the spread. So that would be 7-0 over the last 7 games. So you can get an idea of the tendencies if teams are doing good or bad against Vegas. So you can see Auburn here, they're 10-2. Arkansas State's 8-3. They've highlighted some really good ones and really bad ones. And let's see what Davidson was. So Davidson, we come up here. So Davidson was 3-6 against the spread. So that'd be 3-6 over the last 9. And then, okay, I got to try to pronounce it. DeQuesney? I don't know. But they're 1-6 against the spread. So they were absolutely terrible. So use that as a grain of salt. Take a look at it. But you can get an idea of if the teams are doing good, if they're doing bad. You can come up with your own line by looking at this on the power rankings and the home court. And they're pretty accurate. They've been doing this for over 50 years, so they're pretty good. Now, the question people ask me is, well, why is this here? If they have them by 18, why is this score different? To be honest with you, I have no idea. So they have a projected score here. I don't know what goes into that model, and they're not going to share it because that's probably their bread and butter. But then they have their power rankings and all that good stuff. So this calculates a different line, and I actually care about this one more. I want to know kind of what their line is. Like I had Davidson more than the spread, and then they had them by 18. So that would say, hey, Pointwise likes them, my model likes them. I'm going to lean that way, or I'm going to hit that first half. And so we've even got this for NBA. And so NBA is a lot easier because there's not as many teams. So you can come down here and you can see the same thing. Power ranking, the home court record, and then you got home fave, home dog, road fave, road dog, and most recent tendencies. Like Atlanta, they're 9-1. Now keep in mind, my sheets update daily, so they have all the latest information. These update once a week. So for example, this sheet is from last week, and it still has the games for today, which is the 15th, and then tomorrow the 16th, and then the new sheet is already out, and it's already got the following games. So if I'm looking at a game and I'm trying to calculate a power ranking, I'm going to pull up the new sheet and look at it, but to see the actual score, I've got to come back here. So it's kind of confusing, but again, it's going to be within a couple of points. And just for kicks, let's go ahead and take a look at a game tonight and just kind of see what they spit out. So here, we'll take this one. So Michigan and Penn State. When I posted my picks today, I went ahead and I sided with Michigan State minus the 3 points. It was 2.5, 3.5, somewhere around there. I didn't love it, but it was enough to get some action on. So let's see what Pointwise has. And you can see this game's still going on. Michigan State was down. They're now up 20-16. Let me find you. And this is killing my eyeballs trying to find this. It's got to be there it is, the very top game. So they actually have Penn State 69-65. Now, when I looked into this game, I thought this was a no-brainer slam dunk Michigan State play, but I liked it less the more I looked at it. So Penn State's at home, so we want to go look at them first. So we would come down here and we would go look for Penn State. Let me scroll over so you can see this. So we got Penn State. So their power ranking is 36 with a home court advantage of 4. So that gives them a 40. And then they're 7-2 against the spread. So that's good. That would be a red flag if I like Michigan State. And then you come over here. So we got them at a 40. And then Michigan State. Got to scroll back over again. So we got Michigan State at 51. So they would have 51 minus 40. So they would say Michigan State should be an about 11-point favorite. I think I had 10. I had minus 10 or minus 11. I was really close to what they had. But I would look at that and say, okay, Michigan State on the road. we've got them favored by 10 or 11. Pointwise has them favored by 10 or 11. So we got a spread of 3.5. So there's a slight advantage there to lean on Michigan State. And again, I look at some other tendencies, home, away, and whatnot. But this is how you want to use this sheet. And again, this is just another tool that you can use. Some people, they don't use this at all. They don't look at it because they don't like it coming out once a week. I have other people who love it and they look at it daily. So it's completely up to you. It's really good for football since those are weekly games. Basketball's a little bit more difficult, but like I said, I've had a lot of advantages with overs. And for example, I'll give you a perfect example. Let me go ahead and see what my play was today. So over on my Twitter at CheatSheetPros, oh, where'd you go? So I posted, where'd you go? All right, so this is today. So one of the games that I posted that really jumped out at me, so yeah, okay, we had Michigan State. It was 2.5. It was 3.5 before I left. Our model had 11.5, so we were close to Pointwise. Colorado, we basically like that one. Well, you can read it here on Twitter if you want to. Bowling Green over, and then this Wyoming over really jumped out at me. It was between 150 and 154. And let's see, look at this. So these two played. I noticed a game where they were trending. Wyoming's a 7-3 overplay at home, but only 3-7 on the road. So that worried me a little bit. But New Mexico played at the 17th fastest pace, and Wyoming has the 22nd best offense. And then when these two played, it was 93-91 for a total of 184 points, and there was no overtime in that game. It was a straight 184, and I was like, my God, they cruised over that. You know, so if they're covering that by 30, that's a game that interests me. But then I'd come over here, and I didn't even think about this, but looking at it to see what the Wyoming-New Mexico line is, I looked this game up because I earmarked Wyoming last night laying in bed. I was like, all right, Wyoming's going to kill New Mexico. And I started looking at it, and I'm like, wow, New Mexico's not terrible. They don't suck as much ass as I thought they did. So actually looking at this now, they've got this with 169 points. So they've got it going over by 14 if you got the high end of 154. So that makes me like my bet on the over even more. Now it's probably going to lose and everybody's going to watch this video and be like, oh, you suck. But that's what it happens. And then the other one we had was the Bowling Green over. Oh my God, look at that one. So this one was between 160 and 164, and they played a prior game. So they both had like top 15 paces, and that stuck out on the sheet. And then their prior matchup was 99-88. Let me, this is kind of off the cuff, but let me pull this up and show you what I saw in this one. And that's funny they got it that high. And let me see, I don't know what you can see on the screen yet, bear with me. All right, Bowling Green. Okay, so right here, game number 23. What jumped out at me is right here, the pace. And here, let me see if I can blow this up. View, zoom. Let's make it big. Let's make it 150. Oh, God. Okay, yeah, that's big. All right, so right here, let me see if you can see that. There you go. So under pace, this jumped out at me. 33rd and 5th. So two high-paced teams. I'm like, oh, my God. Well, you know, 164, that's not bad. That's pretty good. But two high-paced teams, it was a game I wanted to look into. And then the home team was 8-2 for an overplay at home, and they're 18-5 for overs on the year. So that was a huge red flag for me. So I earmarked it, I went and looked at it, and they had a game where they played last time, like I said, 99-88 or 91-88. I can't really read my chicken scratch. But this has it 92-86. So they have it also going way over the 164. So it's at 160, 170, 178. So they've got this going over by 14 as well. So this would be another thing that if I notice those two high-paced games, I'm like, hey, just out of curiosity, what's Pointwise got? Boom, 92-86. Oh my God, they've got that going over by 14. Let's jump on that over. But anyways, that's all the time we got for today, guys. If you have any questions on this, let me know. I'm always happy to do a video for you if there's something that you want to see or something that you like. And yeah, we'll get back with some plays tomorrow. Have a good day.